Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iori Folani. This morning, let's look at the proposal that was that has been forwarded, sent by the former Vice President, former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. He also was the presidential candidate of the PDP in the last election. And well, I suppose the main kernel of that is a sort of proposal of variation of the length of tenure of a president. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is suggesting, for a number of reasons, the idea of a single 6-year term rotated around the regions between the north and the south. So we'll look at that, and our guest is Dr. Jide Johnson, Chief Lecturer, Nigerian Institute of Journalism, and a commentator on public affairs. A fine morning to you, Dr. Johnson. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning and good day to our viewers all over the world. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you once again.
Indeed. Well, first of all, it's not as if this idea has not been, shall we say, in the talk shop of the nation for quite a while. This whole idea of, instead of 2 terms, which is what the Constitution allows at the moment, 2 terms of 4 years, there are those who have advanced that, look, perhaps we should do something different. Some have said 5, some have said 6. What do you think of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's proposal that, you know, a single term of 6 years in the first instance? When I say in the first instance, I mean that is just the primary aspect of his proposal. There are other reasons he said that he had made that proposal.
Well, first, the idea is nothing new. In actual sense, the idea is a byproduct of the 1995 Constituent Assembly, which was meant to shepherd in the Fourth Republic under General Abacha's transition to democratic rule, which brought about the issue of 6 geopolitical zones, which by norm is what we use to divide Nigeria into geopolitical zones, but constitutionally, there's no constitutional provision for 1999 constitution on the 6 geopolitical zones. So it was an abstraction of the 1995 Constituent Assembly report, which was also formed the basis of the 1999 Constitution, because it was that report that Justice Nikitobi and 13 others reviewed to give us the 1999 Constitution as amended. So it's nothing new. And then if you follow the traction of constitutional amendment moved by the National Assembly in recent time, particularly the 10th Assembly, there's this idea that has been mooted for a single term of 6 years, of 6 years for the presidency. And I think that the other one that was brought in by Atiku, don't forget, he was also part of the 1995 Constituent Assembly, is the idea of this rotational presidency, which people have mooted over time. Probably it will reduce the tension in our election, and then it will give every zone a sense of belonging. And that's always been the argument of the proponents. But however, where are you going to start from? Which region is going to have the first shot? And who is going to determine the order of the rotation? Are we going to use a ballot system, or we are going to toss a coin? So these are the issues that needed to be attended, to be addressed concerning that particular issue for those that are proponents of this single year 6th tenure of rotational presidency. And then, if you are talking about that rotational presidency, what system of government do we want to practice? Do we still want to retain federal system of government, or we still want to practice the presidential system of government, or we want to practice the fused presidential system of government that you have in France, whereby you have more or less like a fusion of presidential and cabinet, parliamentary system of government. So there are so many details that need to be worked out and ironed out, other than beyond the, okay, let's have a 6-year rotational presidency. Yeah. And what is the likelihood that if we start the rotational presidency and somebody use 6 months, and use these first 4 years, after 4 years they do a constitutional amendment and say that they are jettisoning rotational presidency? So I think that we must have a referendum. For us to really know the system of government we want to have, and the type of government we want to have, there must be a referendum in which the views of Nigerians are collated. We have INEC, we have all other agencies of government through which, and technology has made life easier, which you can calculate what type of government do we have. So it is that structure. It is the structure of government that we want to have that will determine the tenure of the offices or the type of offices we want to create. It might look novel in the eyes of people that, well, if we do rotational presidency, regions like northeast or north central that have never been democratically elected president, we have an opportunity of having democratically elected president. But there are more dangers, there are more landmines on the road through this rotational presidency, in my opinion.
Indeed. As you said, there's so many aspects of this that will have to be ironed out, or perhaps it's hammered out, quite frankly, because there is likely to be a vigorous, and I particularly identify with the opinion you put forward that we probably will need a referendum to determine aspects of this thing. What is it going to be, presidential? Is it going to be parliamentary? Is it even possible to have an admixture of both? But I suppose let the idea be accepted, might be the way it's going on in Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's mind. Let the idea even be accepted, then we can go beyond that to start to work out the details. But you recall that he did say among the other things that are sought with this this notion is to, as he put it, raise the standard of educational qualification of public office holders. What do you think of that particular provision? As it is, you know what it is. Mm-hmm. Please go.
You need to take that last part. I didn't hear you clearly, sir.
The other aspect, one of the other aspects in Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's proposal is that this submission of his sought to also raise the educational qualification of public office holders.
Well, according to an Italian philosopher who came up with the idea of democracy, talking about principle of democracy in terms of rational choices, Bobbio, he said it is assumed that in democracy, the citizen will elect the most intelligent, the most knowledgeable, and the most competent person amongst them to be their leader. But the reverse is the case in democracy. I even joked this with the student. All you need to do is to just go to various campuses and look at those that they elect as their student union president or departmental president. And they're usually the best student in it. That's even talking about tertiary institution. So the fact that someone has education does not have education does not mean that that person will be a good leader. The foundation of democracy, first and foremost, is the party system. Now, the party system are founded on ideology. Now, if you have a strong party system that are founded on strong ideology, then the president is just there as the arrowhead, or the governor is just at the arrowhead to navigate the policies and the programs of that party along the ideology guiding that party's public policy. So if we lay too much emphasis on education, we have elected someone that had a PhD as president, we have elected people that have graduated as president, we have elected someone that has a school cert or a NEPA bill as president. And so for me, when we begin to talk about qualification, someone might not go to college and be extremely Bill Gates did not finish college. So I think that educational qualification, raising the educational qualification, for me is not significant as far as I'm concerned, as a significant issue that should be taken into consideration. What we should be much more interested in is the structure of the party system we have. The party system that we have, are they democratic? Are they based on ideology? Because the foundation of democratic society is the party system. It is the parties that nominate candidates. So, but a situation whereby you have a faulty party system, and the party system, like the foundation, if the foundation is weak, then you have a weak political system, and that's why we have political system across Nigeria. Look, what is the strength of the parties in Nigeria? what is the ideology of the major political parties in Nigeria in terms of, because that ideology that gives us an inclination and indication concerning their policy trust when they win. But what we have seen is the personalization of governance. At any point in time, whoever becomes the president shapes the direction of the party, shapes the policy of the party, shapes the ideology of the party. And that's the challenge. And that's the challenge you have, not the educational qualification of whoever is the president or not the president.
Yet another aspect that Atiku Abubakar, wanted to address, and because he also spoke about affecting or taking into cognizance the internal party democracies. As you know, our parties, they view this subject through so many different prisms. The fact that it is going like this in Party A doesn't mean it's going to go like that in Party B. So I don't know how he proposes, how the proposal, but then again, it hasn't been examined and discussed yet, how he proposes to achieve, that his submission will achieve that, which is, he talks about achieving an internal party democracy. I suppose what is democracy to one party might not be the same in another party. So how do you view that? Because you've touched on quite a large chunk of it in your previous answer.
Yeah, what he's talking about, if you look at the party system we operate, those parties, and I have said it over time, parties that don't have respect for the constitution of their party will not have respect for the constitution of Nigeria. It's as simple as ABC. So those parties are there to the basic principles and provisions of their political party with respect to the conduct of their affairs of their political party. I give you there. You have all the three parties that bedevil with crisis. Either it is open or not open. The three major parties that presented candidates for presidential election in 2000, APC. Now the national chairman of APC was the present chairman of APC was not elected by the Congress. He was when the national chairman and the secretary were resigned. Let me use that word, resigned, because we didn't know what the undercurrent. They resigned and they were subsequently replaced. They were subsequently replaced not through a mini convention or what have you. Now that of the PDP, the national chairman too resigned, and then the deputy national chairman was upgraded to acting national chairman. Since then, they've not been able to do anything concerning that. And then you look at the Labour Party, the crisis that has belabored the Labour Party with respect to leadership. Who is the leader of the party? Then the tenure of the initial chairman expired, and then you have different groups. So if you look at our party system, there's no democratic values, democratic principle within our party system. That is the truth. Now, the fact that you embrace rotational presidency does not guarantee you that. For example, you say the presidency is zoned to the southwest. How many states are in the south? There are 6 states. And let's say there are 6 contestants. How are you going to? In fact, it's even going to heighten the tension. When you zone into the north, northwest, for example, there are 7 states in the northwest. There are 7 states. Let each of the states present candidates. Let's say, okay, we have said that the mini primaries would be. And then how do you do the selection process? Is the selection process going to be limited to the zone, or is it going to be open to all Nigerians? So are we going to leave the selection process of the nominees for the presidency to the zone alone, or all Nigerians are going to be open to elect that? So there are so many things that we need to look at. You know, when these politicians talk, they are master of double speak. They talk from the point of what will favor them.
It appeared to hang there. It might come back on momentarily. Well, calls are coming in, so we will be taking calls whichever comes first, if it comes back in again. But in case you've just joined us at this juncture, our guest is Dr. Jide Johnson, Chief Lecturer at the Nigerian Institute of Journalism. In fact, we have... good morning, Mr. George. Thank you for calling in.
Yes. Good morning, and good morning to Dr. Johnson.
Yes, thank you.
Uncle Yori, I must commend Atiku Abubakar for his statement. This is the first criticism I've seen him offer to politics in our country. As an opposition leader, we expect criticism, abuse, and raining of insults on those that are in power. What he is saying is, to me, calls for critical examination. But I have to worry about the issue of 6-year term. The 6-year term, the populace might be at the receiving end negatively, because it will give whoever is the president to become so dictatorial and disregard for the electorate, because he knows that we don't have a chance to determine whether he will come back or not. So if he happens to be a bad president, quote and unquote, we will have to take him like that for that 6 years straight. Because, you know, in this part of the world, politicians do not regard the electorate. They say, after all, I've given you money before you voted for me, so you don't have to tell me what to do. So for 6 years, the electorate could be at the receiving end negatively. That will not work for us. It's still better in the way it is now, that they have it in mind that after 4 years, I will go back to them. And there is a possibility that they will ask me, what did I do with the first one? So that will give us benefits as a populace. For the rotational presidency, it's already in practice, even as it is not in the Constitution. After President Tinubu now, you cannot, it's not practicable for another southerner to come and say, elect me as president. The northerners will not vote for the president. It has happened already. During the time of Buhari, Atiku tried it. Some other northerners wanted to do it, but it didn't work. That has already taken on a living form. Whether we write it in the Constitution or not, it's going to be like that. So the worries of Dr. Johnson as to how it is going to be implemented is already addressed. That's the way I see it.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. Well, Dr. Johnson, the commentaries, because these things are always a balance. Okay, I understand that we still have the challenge, Dr. Johnson, from when he froze. The lines haven't been loosened again. But here we are, because these things are a balance, aren't they? 4 years now, just as Mr. George explained, where there is, you know, from a potential 8-year term, there is a midpoint of 4 years when the electorate can, you know, reconfirm or change their minds, you know, when that opportunity presents itself, as opposed to the idea that has been put up by, you know, that last caller. Did I hear Jide from Kafanchan? Chidi from Kifanchan. Good morning, Chidi.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Please.
Very good morning to Dr. Jide Johnson.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, I'm interested in the topic that is being discussed.
Okay. Go ahead. Don't listen to the echo.
Just like Mr. George said earlier, the very first person that has made this proposal remains Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan when he was the president. So in this respect, the proposal in itself is not entirely a wrong one. But I do not think that the problem Nigerian democracy is suffering is as a result of tenure. It is based on the ideologies of our political parties and some other stakeholders that will have to make our democracy strengthened. We need to strengthen the structure of our political parties and then orientate the citizenry. So that if, at the first instance, if the president elected refused to perform credibly well, the second chance he or she will have to be voted out. But a sit-tight syndrome where the president must say that constitutionally he must stay for 2 tenures is making the politics of this country a do-or-die affair. We need to strengthen some of the organs of our democratic adherence. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Indeed, thank you very much. But that last point that you made there, I mean, as I said, a potential 8-year term is divided into 2 4-year terms. Of course, how we have that is that you will not be able to go for a 3rd term, which would make it a 12-year term. So it's going to be, it currently is a potential 8 years. But as has been pointed out, and is well known, you have to come back for re-election, where the electorate can take another look at their decision. So when Chidi said, when Chidi, you inferred that there's an 8-year term, not really. It's potential, yeah. But there is a juncture at which the people can reassess their earlier choice, unless you are going to say, I know you've gone on off air. Unless you are going to say that there are some other mechanisms which sort of make it an automatic 8-year term. I don't know. I don't really know. But indeed, it is a point. We're waiting for Dr. Johnson to come back. Our guest, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Jide Johnson, Chief Lecturer at Nigerian Institute of Journalism, he said that some of the things that he hopes that his submission will address will be to raise the educational standard of political office holders. And then also, interestingly enough, he also said it's also about ensuring internal party democracies. So that's also another interesting point. I believe that Mobolaji, did I hear? Good morning. Thank you for coming on. Bolaji. Did I get that right? Hello.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Hello, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning. I can hear. Good morning. Thank you for calling in. Go ahead.
Please, Uncle Yori. What I wanted to contribute to this discussion is that I will completely agree with the lecturer. The lecturer said, where we got it wrong is from the political party.
Okay.
The political parties in Nigeria have no single respect
Are you still with us?
For the electorate.
Okay. I hope you're not listening. Please don't be listening to your voice if that is what is happening.
Have no. Can you hear me, Uncle Yori?
Yes, I can hear you, but please just continue the flow. In case you are hearing an echo feedback, don't listen to it. Just please go ahead.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. What I'm saying in essence is this. Our political leaders in Nigeria does not respect the political parties that produces them.
Okay.
If you look at the PDP, the APC, the Labour Party at the same time, the three political parties that produces the presidential candidate in the last election.
I believe that we might have lost Abolaji there. But as you heard, where he was going to take off from was that he had his doubts about the level of respect that members of political parties accord the very parties they belong to. Of course, this will show up most when it comes to contenders. I don't know how, I don't want to speculate on how he was going to extend it, but there are rules, and indeed, just as Abolaji said, there were contradictions of some of these processes in the last election that were seen, and they were addressed, the way they could be addressed. But Mr. Ademuyiwa has come on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you.
Uncle Yori, I quite agree with the professor or the lecturer that came online.
Okay.
But there's something we need to understand, that these people don't respect the rule of law, and they don't really have law for humanity. At one time or the other, they will come up with policies. If they are not in charge, if they are not in presidency, they will start coming up with different kind of policies, different kind of ideas. Mm-hmm. What was imparted in the days when they had the chances? I can recollect vividly, within 6 years of PDP rule, we were spending 73% of our yearly budget on only governance. Atiku was vice president for 8 years. Within that period, they crumbled our educational sectors. All of them started using the Ministry of Education to acquire license for private university and private schools. All we could see, everybody was just registering schools. The problem we have today, they failed to address it then. Look at the problem we have today. Every house now pays school fees. Why the government public schools is being scrambled? All deserted. These are people that, when they are not having the opportunity to become president or to become ministers or to become whatsoever in any kind of governance, or maybe they contested election and they failed, they'll start bringing up policies. They'll start advising the president of the day or start writing letters. That is when they will start calling press to come and do what? Listen to them. Sir, I don't know, maybe people travel. Atiku Abubakar is not in Nigeria, and he will never remain in Nigeria. His elder brother today still remains the leader of the Republic, the House of Representatives in Cameroon. I've been to Cameroon like 3 months ago. For over 42 years, the president is still serving. He is still serving as the head of House of Representatives in Cameroon. We are just here. We're thinking that these people love this country.
I didn't know that.
A man that came to preach and said he would rather sell everything he has, every resources we have to his friends, and we should now believe such a person. No, they don't have the love of the ordinary man at heart. They only just one way or the other saying what they feel it would happen. At that time when Obasanjo was preaching for the third term bid, do you know how much we lost? They started bribing people, bribing senators. That was how all these Dinomilai and the rest of them started becoming billionaires overnight. The rest of the so-called money that Baba Obasanjo said he got from Paris Club then as debt relief after what we got, they shared it among themselves because of third term bid. Brothers, good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Ademuyiwa. Quite some interesting disclosures there. I'm not able to verify those things, but it was quite interesting to hear you say there will be people who will be able to attest to it, or maybe might demur. I don't know.